Rheaume. They do an awesome job. If you need, listen, let me tell you something. If you think you have a case, please call our friends because you just never know. If the statute of limitations has run out, and the consultation is completely free. Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume, 954-966-4646 for Welt and Rheaume. Bankruptcy, condo damage, criminal defense, personal injury, homeowner property damage, but they can't help the Jaguars. They can't help the Jaguars. Sorry. Yep, they're going to have to take that loss. So that's all. That's what happens. But please call our friends at Welt and Rheaume. All right, David. This was a game that filled up your notes there, huh? Right from the beginning with Tyreek Hill and everything. What do we know about the clown show that happened before the game?
Boy, yeah, you're right about that, and maybe Walton Rheaume can provide Tyreek Hill some assistance as he'll now be delving into this legal matter. But that Tyreek Hill told us after the game he was pulled over for speeding as he was coming into the stadium, and then that he was just so surprised how quickly it escalated. With him then finding himself in handcuffs, and he couldn't believe that an officer was then was forced.
So he didn't deny the speeding.
The speeding, never denied the speeding. No, so said that was the reason given him to be pulled over, and then was just surprised at how quickly everything escalated. Then Calais Campbell was nearby. He was also eventually detained as he was trying to de-escalate the situation as he was up here telling us his recollection. And then at some point he was told that he was not following a direct order from a police officer, and then that ended up in his detainment as well momentarily.
But I'm laughing my ass off because I just had a conversation with everybody out there that I watch these videos all the time, and the cops tell you to do something and you just want to refuse. No, dude, no. If they tell you to do something, God damn it, do it, bro. Period. There's no excuses. Just do it. You never win this argument. And by the way, if you're speeding, the hell speeds in a football game?
Now, it's very difficult to speed going into the stadium. The way the constraints are.
So where in his mind itself, how does he think that this doesn't escalate? Yeah. They just had an incident where they bum rushed the entire goddamn stadium in a soccer game. People got to use their heads. I know Tyreek doesn't. I get it, but this is all entitlement bullshit that comes from all of this, bro. What it comes from. So
but does that ever get to the point of actually a person who, if let's just say you or I or any fan comes in, and sure, in one of the roads leading into the tailgate areas, the parking lots, whatever it may be, then yeah, we go a little bit over the speed limit. A cop pulls us over. Should it actually ever be expected that it gets to the point where you're out of the car and now all of a sudden you're being detained in handcuffs? I mean, wouldn't a ticket suffice? Is the other side of this?
Do you know what he told the cop? Do you have any idea?
I do not. I do not have the. We don't have both sides of the story, and we also do have that. Miami-Dade Police is putting one of the officers involved on administrative leave duties for the time being while they continue to investigate. So a lot of information still has to come out, and we still have to hear all sides.
I'll give you an example. I was pulled over last week, actually. I was coming through Chrome Avenue, 177 and 8th Street, and a Mitsuki cop pulled me over. Okay, so I'm like, hell, I was speeding. Where I'm like, I have my seatbelt on. What's going on here? So I'm already I'm a little pissed already at this point. But I know, hey man, there's a cop. I gotta do what he says. And he pulls me over, boom, he walks over and he says, hey, you know why I pulled you over? I go, oh, no, sir, I really don't. And he goes, well, your tag. And so I have this plastic over my tag, and apparently it's like 4 years old now because my car's 4 years old, almost 5 now. And so I guess the sun has faded it a little bit, so the plastic is kind of light orange, I guess, So you don't, I guess. So you don't see, I guess, the tag as perfect as he needs it. And I said, all right, no problem. And so I gave him my license and my registration. What am I supposed to do, right? So he comes back and he wanted to run my license to make sure that I didn't have anything bad, and then he just gave me a break, and I went on my merry way. But at that moment, I cannot be a dick about it. And so you got pulled over. So why were you speeding? Were you late? So are you agitated that you're late? And then, hey, I'm Tyreek Hill, let me through, or what are you doing? So if it leads to you getting handcuffed, that tells me, and I'm dying to see the video, I'm assuming you weren't as cooperative as you should be. That's what I'm going to assume. And with your track record, I'm really going to assume that, actually.
Yeah, Tyreek does have a track record, so we do know that, and a lot of this, it's just it would be a lot of speculation at this point. We don't have the full interaction. All the phones and video cameras, they start picking things up once things escalate to a certain level where, oh, this is going to make viral social media video and people start recording. But well, I mean, if Tyreek Hill is detained, then obviously that's a news story, newsworthy anytime. But yeah, so we don't have the full clarity on the interactions from start to finish, how it all got to that point. So yeah, it would be a lot of speculation as far as right and wrong, who helped get it to another level that it didn't need to get to. So I'm sure the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle on all of this.
Yeah, but like I said to everybody else before you came on, the sad part about all of this is Tyreek has zero credibility. So unfortunately, I can't believe anything he says because of his track record. So right now, I just have to look at it with a fisheye and say, yeah, you probably did something stupid because you usually do something stupid. You were already speeding. That's stupid. Okay? That's catastrophically stupid. All right? Once we pull into that stadium, we all know to kick, push, and coast.
It's one of your favorite songs.
Yes. So come on, man.
Heard you reference it multiple times.
All the time.
It is, yeah.
Time, because it just, and it's I can't go with an older reference because then I tune other people. So I'd rather go with a newer reference, and at least the young people stay on it. And now the old people have no idea what the hell I'm talking about either. I'm like there. But anyway, it is what it is, and so that's already a violation. How did you handle when you were called out for that violation? That's what I want to see. Because if you end up in handcuffs, it wasn't, come on, that's what I'm saying. All right, so let's talk about.
Now, you just to put a bow on all this discussion. Now, you probably have a point there, but what I would venture to say is just also consider, Tyreek Hill may have done something stupid, but that both sides probably had something stupid done. If you consider the police officer, one of them involved, was also placed on administrative leave for while Miami-Dade PD conducts this investigation. So I'm just saying there's probably somewhere in the middle, both sides, something that was off. I feel like you're putting a lot more of it on Tyreek Hill himself.
I'm putting a ton of it on both sides.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah,
he's constantly a moron. So he gets, dude. He has no breaks here. Nothing. He gets no benefit of the doubt.
Was that a double meaning there that you just try to pull off?
Yeah. He forget about that. He lost the benefit of the doubt a while back with me a long time ago. I get that the cops have no credibility at times. I understand all of that. But at the moment, I'm just going to look at Tyreek until proven otherwise. I'm going to say, yeah, he did something stupid again, and then we'll see, how it all settles in. When it's all I know that the cops are far from perfect and they screw up all the time. But I am talking about Tyreek Hill, who's a constant screw up. Okay? By the way, and I'll mention this, is a constant screw up of what you know.
Right, I get what you're saying. How much do we not know?
Yeah. What you don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so let's get to the game. Let's talk about the game. Not practice, but a game.
Finally.
how do you look at the first half to the second half? Because I was saying maybe this is just a team that doesn't hit much. They don't tackle at all. They don't do much. They give everybody days off. They're soft, for their practices and all that. And so when you get to the game, all of a sudden, and you're Jalen Ramsey and you barely practice, you're going to look like you're out of sync. And you kind of looked out of sync. And I almost feel like they're going to need a couple of weeks of hitting and playing games to kind of really get in a rhythm. And I almost feel that their training camp and their preseason kind of set up for that first half almost. Or are they not that good? Because I thought that they could easily win the game in the second half if they played up to their potential. And, they did. So how do you interpret what you saw in the first half to the second half?
I think some rust was probably going to be expected from this team when you went a lot of training camp. Actually, you haven't had your starting secondary play together at all during training camp. You've had issues on the offensive line. Aaron Brewer hasn't been there until he just got back in recently, shuffling Liam Eichenberg between guard and center. Haven't had Teron Armstead practice much on that line. So I look at those two areas, especially when probably a couple things that we looked at going into this matchup was Jacksonville pass rush against the Dolphins offensive line. That reared its ugly head a couple times, especially early in the second half. Started hearing the boo birds come down after a lackluster first half, and then two drives end in third down sacks. One that was surrendered by Liam Eichenberg, another one by Austin Jackson. And then also that secondary not playing together, Jalen Ramsey. Maybe he's got the hamstring in the back of his mind, but also he probably needs to be, because it would be even worse if he aggravates it. And he's given up a touchdown or he has to commit a pass interference first to Brian Thomas in the end zone to prevent a touchdown after he was beat. And then maybe some miscommunication between him and Jordan Poyer back of the end zone when Thomas did score a touchdown. So a lot of different things that you probably figured after they didn't practice much together. It might be a little rusty to start off, but then give them credit. Second half, Anthony Weaver dialed up a tremendous game calling the defense. Those back-to-back sacks by Jalen Phillips and Emmanuel Ogba got the ball back for the Dolphins, and Javon Holland made the play of the game. The Dolphins are about to lose that game if Travis Etienne waltzes into the end zone. And it's such a game changer. I mean, he's about to score, and then instead, ball is punched out. Caterco comes up with it, and then very next play, that's when Tyreek Hill goes, and you just feel the momentum going so much. And also Jason Sanders' credit, because he could have tied it at one point, missed the field goal, hits another one later that did tie, and then eventually hits the game winner. So the Dolphins did trust him in that late game scenario, even after he did miss earlier in this game.
By the way, I did not know this, so we got to give him love that he's now 8 of 8 in game-winning or tying field goals in the final 2 minutes or overtime. So his problems are before the 2 minutes. So once you get into the 2 minute, every Dolphin can pump his chest, say, screw you. We got Jason Sanders. What do you got, schmuck? So that's it. So it's inside the 2 minute. We're safe. We're in the safe Sanders zone.
Yeah. And then the tying field goal was with 4:22 remaining. So, maybe as they get more clutch, then you get better results from Jason Sanders.
Just saying, it's like this woman that I read up. She got to 100 years old, right? And she has now clean lungs. But she smoked until she was 95.
Wow.
So now you know the key to get to 100. Quit smoking at 95. That's all.
I had, my neighbor growing up.
Where the analogy was going, right? See? So just don't call any field goals until 2. That's all.
Let's get fourth down happy and just go for each one of them. Actually, funny story. Yeah, my neighbor growing up, this very old Cuban woman, next door neighbor, my house parent with my parents growing up. She smoked starting at 7 years old and lived into her 90s. I forget 90 something, like deep into her 90s too. Crazy story. How did someone survive that long?
DNA cannot be answered. Yeah. DNA, it's the weirdest thing, bro. Just went through the COVID thing, right? Some people, there's a strain. There's a group of humans that have a specific strain that the COVID did not affect them. So now they're using that strain to try to create an antivirus with it, because some people that had it. Now it affected a whole bunch of us. My wife recently got it. She still doesn't have taste. You know what I'm saying? Like it's weird. You know, it's just DNA is hard to answer, bro. You know, somebody who can be smoking for 80 years and another guy smokes, and at 35 he has lung cancer, and it's the weirdest thing, man. It just one thing that none of us could ever answer. All right, so how do we grade this performance? Because man, Phillips encouraging as hell to come back from that. The defense came back from it all. The Dolphins offense ran the ball at the end of the game like a power offense. They ran in between the tackles and everything. That like there were some things that were a lot of fun to watch. There were a couple of clutch throws. You know, how do you view this?
I'd say overall, yeah, you still got to give it a positive grade because they won against a team that's also vying for a playoff spot. So I don't want to go too far, and so I'll go B minus overall when you consider the entire scope of the game, of just how bad certain parts of it looked early, but that also there's an intangible that they showed in this game is it's the resolve to answer when something goes wrong. So Tyreek Hill was telling us when he was posed this question is y'all got to get another narrative because that all that were front runner stuff. We came back on this team, so now we'll see. Now we'll find out if the Jaguars end up being a winning or a losing team by the end of the year to determine how much we value this win, the way we did with the 1-6 against winning teams last year, and whatever the record was, 10-1 against winning teams. But so we'll find that out later. But I would say B minus overall when you consider the whole complexion of how bad it looked early and then how good it looked and the resolve that it took to come back and get this week 1 win.
All right, so one more thing I got to ask you before I let you go. Way too many passes at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage when I'm in the middle of the game. I'd like to measure the two. That would be a fantastic article by one of you guys, because it seemed to me like they had much more success going downfield, and they didn't test them enough downfield and behind the line of scrimmage, even though they had success at times. But still, man, there were so many dead plays, either at or behind the line of scrimmage. I thought there were just too many passes in that area and not enough downfield. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can see that, and some of that also sets up the big play down the field. So defenses keying in on that. A lot of teams in the past, I would think like it was like those 07 Patriots that they would just be like Lawrence Maroney run, and then all of a sudden Tom Brady would go play action and hit the deep ball to Randy Moss. So sometimes that can help you set up the big play down the field to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, which we did eventually see those. Tyreek Hill, the 80-yard touchdown. Jalen Waddle had a big 63-yard catch as he went over 100 as well. But yeah, I mean, Achane getting the ball a lot back there. There was a lot going to Braxton Berrios and Durham Smythe, and they were 0 for 5 throwing to both of them on their targets. Berrios got 2 fourth down targets that failed in that early lackluster part of the game. So. All a bunch of tweaks that I think Mike McDaniel and his offense will get to work on. So kind of a different story this year. Even though they still got the win, it's like a lot to work on as opposed to, on that side of the ball on offense, as opposed to like the week 1 against the Chargers last year, and then you have a 70-20 game in week 3. So it's not like you're going off that high from the start. Now there's stuff to improve toward as you progress it this season.
All right, bro. What do you got going on the Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Oh, man, what don't I have going on today? Obviously, I covered all the Tyreek Hill drama, so I'm going to be updating that with what he just told us moments ago and other reaction. I'll write about Javon Holland having a game-changing play in this game with that forced fumble and also just the overall game coverage as well, what it means.
There you go. And, of course, reach out to our boys at Welt Rheaume if you need someone to protect you. And they'll do it even better than the offensive line for the Dolphins did in the first half, by the way. Bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury. They have their own adjusters. Don't ever call the insurance companies. You call Welt Rheaume first, They send their adjusters, and then they call the insurance company. You never have to deal with the insurance company. You'll be calling Jeff and Dan for a check. I think it's a good one. 954-966-4646. David, we will catch up on Thursday, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
You got it. The great David Ferrodis.